Bang energy drink a couple of times. I've never
doing
tasted a 5-hour energy or anything else, a Red Bull or anything else. No desire.
Differences in size.
I think I've drank one before, but they taste disgusting.
I think they're dangerous.
I agree with that 100%.
There's absolutely nothing good in them
I
for
do
you.
have the CBC. I have the 11.
Just a stimulant.
Yeah.
So let me look and see.
But they're all natural stimulants, so it's okay.
Yeah, sugar is a natural stimulant too. Yep.
You know, vitamins B12 and B10 and all those things, you know. I mean,
so yeah,
just purely natural. It's organic.
You just have a night. And,
Annie, you got to throw something at somebody.
I'll get back to the
Sadly, that's better. So anyway, yeah, you know, I see these people just. We had a coworker last place I worked, well, 2 places ago, newspaper, my entire career. They ended up calling the ambulance for him one day because he was just racing hard. And the doctor asked him if he'd been drinking energy drinks. He said, well, yeah. He said, how many have you had? And he said, like this morning. And he's like, yeah. And he said, 5.
Oh my God. That's a little different.
And he was like, okay, you're not going to drink.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. I mean, you know, even myself with coffee, I had heart palpitations, you know, every now and then. And as soon as I got off, I still like the occasional coffee, but when I stopped taking it regularly, I noticed all my heart palpitations would go away. So it definitely affects you, all that stimulant.
Are you saying, Cameron, you don't drink coffee?
Oh, I love coffee. I'm from Starbucks territory, and I don't have it every day. I have tea. I have tea every day instead.
Caffeine. Tea has more caffeine than coffee.
That's true. That's true. But it has a different effect, I've noticed.
Oh, that's probably true too.
Make sure the email you gave me is correct.
I haven't had any coffee in like 8 years, 9 years.
That's not true. You had coffee a few weeks ago.
But that was 1 cup. That was 1 cup. That was like, but that's literally.
But it was
church. At church, when I make coffee, I'll take a sip and go, "Yep, tastes good," and that's it. But I don't.
Like you stopped taking heroin, okay, but then you came back and just did it 1 time.
A little different, but yeah.
Yeah, my favorite coffee drink is I really like a mocha. That's my coffee drink.
But Kent, that cup of coffee probably took up for the 8 years that you did.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
That was really good coffee.
Oh my gosh.
It was really good coffee.
I know
Resides in your memory, right?
probably
It was
Friday,
some
6:18
Louisiana coffee the customer sent me, and it was a brick, and Heath made it, and he was like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Forgot to gather his information.
I think Tyler liked it too, didn't he? Tyler was like,
I don't know if Tyler liked it or not. I know I didn't finish my cup.
I started like sip like a little bit of it, and then she like spitted it out onto the other cubicle.
You know, that's what I did.
Threw the coffee cup across the office.
It spewed so hard it didn't go over the cubicle wall.
And we had to call 911
through the cubicle wall.
Oh,
That's
yes,
a bad cup of coffee like that.
Oh my gosh, that's
Leave it
hilarious.
to me to take it to the extremes, okay? So
That's okay. It's funny. That's all that matters.
that's all that matters.
Below thousands of meters of ice in Antarctica, lie hundreds of meltwater lakes where the Antarctic ice sheet meets the continent's bedrock. Until pretty recently, we thought that these lakes sat quietly, isolated in pockets under the ice. But in 2007, laser measurements of the ice surface from NASA's IceSat satellite were used to infer what was happening far below, and a much more interesting picture was revealed. By watching local areas of the surface of the massive ice sheet rise and fall due to fluctuations in the lake water levels below, we learned that vast hydrologic systems like rivers connect many of these lakes, and that some actively fill and drain all the time. Thanks to the more advanced laser technology on NASA's IceSat-2 satellite, in a region very near a pair of larger lakes measured in 2007, 2 more of these lakes have just been found. A new study shows that they are currently experiencing a draining period. The finding also gives us the most detailed picture yet of how the boundaries of lakes can change over time. Areas seen here in blue show that the surface of the ice is getting lower, which indicates that the lakes below are draining. Understanding how much water is flowing under the ice sheet and how quickly it can drain to the sea helps give us a better picture of not only how quickly the Antarctic ice sheet will change due to a warming climate, but also how Antarctic melt will affect both global ocean currents and sea level rise.
Well, hello everybody. I'm still, on Wednesdays, I always teeter a little bit after a long global star party. Cameron, you were on with us till, what time did we finish last night?
Oh, I'm sure it was 1 o'clock your time.
Yeah,
Or after.
it was
Yeah.
definitely 1 o'clock
It's a
my
pretty
time.
regular. Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, it was enjoyable as it always is, and I really was happy that a lot of the Nebraska Star Party people came on. The speakers asked if they could come on to Global Star Party again, and I'm saying, of course, and for any of you listening and want to participate in Global Star Party, get your whatever presentation you'd like to get together. Try to make it about a 10-minute segment. If it's about astronomy, you're on. So that's the deal. So it's fun. I have yet to hear of anybody going, "Oh my God, that was so terrible being on Global Star Party." We actually do have a lot of fun doing it, and so it's nice to not also have a long drive ahead of you. Okay, when the Star Party's over. So, and Jeff Wise is talking about Libby, saying she was tremendous last night. She was on such a roll last night, so it was great. She hadn't been on for about 1 or 2 weeks, and she was traveling around and stuff, and so it was really great to have her with us. But her message of outreach was from the heart, and and I think somebody in the audience talked about that she's wise beyond her years.
Yep.
She is. She tries to articulate things. We see her trying to articulate things for someone, at her age will really be like the first time she's tried to articulate it, so it's also very interesting and inspiring. And, with the right, the right coaching and the right community and stuff like that, she really will go far. And I believe that. And I believe that the people in Global Star Party are perfect, for her environment. We just got to find some more young people that she can interact with. she kind of hungers for that, a little bit. So
And she has a real fire for travel too. I mean, that's a really good thing. I mean, she's going to be great champion for our outreach.
right. And I imagine a lot of people will pay to help her travel around. So my cousin Mitzi is watching. Mitzi, how are you doing? So let's recognize some of the people here. We've got, I still see the chats from last night. So let me see if I can pick out where we began here. Here we go. All right. So again, Richard Grace should get a certificate. I'm actually signing member certificates. This is an unsigned one here, but we're all the Explorer Alliance members are getting a certificate of showing their membership and everything.
Very
and
nice.
So it's fun to sign them for people I have, like their phone numbers and stuff, because many of them are friends. I text them and forward them their a little photo of something I just signed. So, but those will be mailing out soon. Annie is preparing all of that. She's cracking the whip on making sure that we get all of our materials in order for Explorer Alliance members. So Annie, what's going on in the Explorer Alliance right now?
Well, there's quite a few exciting things going on. We are in the process of designing a sticker that will go on our members' products that come in. So if you need a telescope cleaned or collimated, or something that needs some extra love and you need to send it in, and you are a member with us, we will have a little sticker that goes on your telescope or whatever it is. It will not.
This is the Explorer Care sticker you're talking about.
It's going to be an
Right,
Explorer
there's
Care
one of the
sticker.
member benefits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we'll stick that on there just to let you know that it went through QC really well, and we, it got the white glove treatment, and it will, you can either leave it on there, or we're going to make it where you can remove it. And so that will be your option. But so we have that going on. And then I've been working on our website. We have quite a few Explorer Alliance affiliates, organizations that are affiliates with us. And so I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what I've been doing.
Yeah, we're always kind of trying to figure out ways to give more benefit and extra customer care. And the Explorer Alliance Care program, that's part of the Platinum program, really does offer some great benefits for any Explorer scientific purchased gear. Okay, and that we have other brands of stuff as well. So as long as you're an Explorer Alliance member, Platinum member, you get to all those benefits. And so we just want to show that we're applying that extra care. But I think that if I look at all the stuff that might come back for repair or replacement or any of those things that we have, that we tend to always just kind of we're always looking to go the extra mile where we can. So what do you got?
Okay, so this is our page. Of course, I've showed this last week with membership, how to sign up for membership. So what you'll do is, this is our Explorer Alliance affiliate organizations. We had a member reach out to Scott and tell us that we were missing somebody on here. And so
that was Pekka.
Yes, it was Pekka. And so
not just a member, it was Pekka.
Yes, Pekka emailed you, and we, anyway, so it was brought to our attention. So I've been working on this page for, I don't know, about a week now, I think. And so I've been cleaning it up, and we've added the Alliance of Historic Observatories. I've kind of updated some links and stuff on here. I'm not completely done with everything, but here's the International Dark Skies Association. I added it. And the way this works is you can click on this link, the name, or you can click well, this doesn't work. I obviously haven't fixed that.
You'll fix
But
that. Okay.
I haven't added the.
Or you
the-
can click on this and nothing.
Or you can click.
Yeah.
Now, normally you can click on these and it'll go to the page as well. But
Right.
you'll click on that and it'll go to our page. Just some information about the organization and their outreach and what they do and things like that. And then on the bottom of the page, it'll have their official website and you can click on that. It should open up in another link. And it'll,
Yeah.
and you can go to their page. So, which it did there. So,
Now,
but-
all of these organizations are organizations that have interacted quite a bit with Explore Scientific. They are organizations that we have, supported in various ways, and we just want to further show our support by adding some attention to
Yeah.
these groups because they do important work, and they do they do help with outreach on the grand scale, and so you'll see organizations there like the Winter Star Party is being shown right there, Warren Rupp Observatory, Yerkes Observatory. We there's backstories to all of these guys. Nebraska Star Party, which we just, we had a whole program last night about Nebraska Star Party. We are longtime supporters of Mount Wilson Observatory, MSRO Science, of course, since it first started. But my relationship with International Dark Sky Association goes back decades, and I do remember the founder, David Crawford. I'm good friends with Tim Hunter, and so it was. I'll have to post a picture sometime. There's a photo of me and David, and I think maybe Tim together. Oh. Anyhow,
Awesome.
these guys are all part of the broader
Maybe mute.
community of amateur astronomers and or the amateur astronomy community, and really add to our lifestyle. So just wanted to point those things out.
So, I forgot what I was going to say because Kit told me to mute. Now,
What's that?
I said I forgot what I was going to say because Kit told me to mute. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh yeah, when you mute and then your brain
yeah,
just
I'm
like
it
goes
just
blank,
literally
right?
went
That's how
blank
it
for a
happens.
second. So yes, it just went blank. So anyways, let me stop sharing this. So we have updated that, and it's really neat because we have those star parties on there, so you can kind of keep up to date with what's going on. I like it
Yeah.
also because you can click on like the International Dark Skies and then find a chapter or whatever that's in your local area. So it's really neat. So, but I just want to say thank you, Pekka, for bringing that to our attention. And I want our members to be able to feel like that they can reach out to us, and we actually do take on your desires and what you want to see. And so anyway, so it's been updated and taken care of. So yep.
So it's co-created by our community.
Yep, it is 100%.
That's how it works. So really appreciate that. Any other thoughts, Annie, about the Alliance at this point? or-
No, I have a lot of stuff going on, just a lot. I mean, we're trying to get up, gearing and going, and we have some new members that are actually filtering through that new sign up. So we're seeing that. We're on the backside. I'm trying to clean up some stuff, and so pretty soon, hopefully, it'll be a well-oiled machine and going going in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
And I just hope that I don't give you writer's cramp, Scott.
Well, for signing all those certificates.
He had an
For signing-
No,
ice
I mean, this is the next stack. She's given me several stacks. This is the next stack here of members that I will be signing here. But I have a feeling that I'm just scratching the tip of the iceberg because, there's a point where membership can kind of mushroom, and which is great. Because we're ready, and we're building out the infrastructure to handle a very a larger, alliance program, for any customer or anybody that, even if you're not a customer, you just want to be part of this, because we do some pretty cool stuff. So if I might say so myself, but that's great. Okay.
Scott,
so-
Scott,
Yeah.
I've got the ice pack ready for your hand when it starts cramping.
The ice. Well, somebody did accuse me of being an AI being, so maybe I can just keep signing and doing and going. I don't think that's true, though. Trust me, folks, I hit the wall sometimes. So usually happens about Tuesday night, about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So
Well, I think it's funny that you came to my desk and was like, Annie, I'm done with this. Where's the next step? I was like, Scott, I got it. You're like, hurry it up.
Well,
oh gosh.
I have been a member of different groups or clubs. I like to dive, for instance, and I remember a long time ago getting something from Patty, and I think it was a certificate like this, and it just kind of had that kind of, fake looking stamp, and I was just like, gosh, couldn't Jacques Cousteau or somebody sign it for me, so anybody, a secretary, I don't care, but I really, I don't, I just kind of see that as sort of cheesy, but somebody will take the time and recognize all the members that are coming through. I think it's important. So I tell you, as I sign these things, I really do wonder, what, for instance, what William Black is doing as an amateur astronomer. Here's the next one. So he's a legacy level member, but at one point maybe he steps up the plate and becomes platinum. So
Scott, I've never gotten a certificate going into a dive. I've got some beer sometimes, but I've never gotten a certificate for it. I must not.
You've been going to the wrong dives, dude.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll have to go with you sometime.
That's right.
Well, hopefully on top of all that, we'll eventually get some swag out there for people to be able to purchase and buy and have. And
we
and just,
already have some.
Yeah.
Well, we have a T-shirt, right?
Yeah, we have a T-shirt.
T-shirt
You can buy a T-shirt, but hopefully, going into the future, we can get a little bit more of that where our members can go out and support. Just show off. Explore Alliance. It'd be kind of neat to see that at the star parties. See that all over.
Sure.
Star
Those
parties.
backpacks are great.
Full car painted with Explore Alliance
Or
logos
wrap
or
a car,
something. Car wraps are good. If you show up at one of our star parties with a car wrap that has Explore Alliance on it, I'm giving you a free hat and a T-shirt. Okay. So.
That's a great deal. Yeah.
No. Hey, I have seen, okay, so here's a story. I went to Germany to go visit our sister company, which is Bresser in Germany. We're actually separate companies, but we're very closely aligned. They're the distributor for our products. We're the distributor for their products. And this guy picks me up and, I noticed he had a lot of tattoos, and which is fine. But then I noticed that there was something that looked like a telescope. And I said, what is that? And he pulls up his sleeve. And Cameron, it is an ED-165 Apo, okay, on a G11 mount. All Explore Scientific with the Explore Scientific stuff. The dude tattooed it on his arm. Okay.
Oh my God, that's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So Scott,
Wow.
if somebody does that, are you going to throw in like a red light flashlight along with the cap and T-shirt?
I didn't know what to say. I do. There's a photo of it somewhere. I'll find it. Okay. So while you guys commiserate, maybe I can find it and show it to you guys.
Yeah.
So did he work for Bresser? He works for Bresser?
He did. He did
Okay,
for a while.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that was very. That's not washing off, So, right.
You should find him, and then
I just felt,
and
maybe
see what it
I'm
looks
not
like.
committed enough. Maybe I should have like a big Explore Scientific thing
How about
across
we
my
just
chest or something.
Gosh.
Scott, well, I bet we can take up a collection and pay for it. You won't even have to pay for it. I guarantee you, if you agree to it, We can come up with. I mean, that's going
I
to be a
don't.
pretty piece of meat.
I'm just not a tattoo guy. You know, my father was. He was the illustrated man. You know, he was a Navy SEAL. So every mission, you know, tattoos. You know, and he went on lots of them. So
Kent, I think you have to do it first and then he'll do it.
Nope.
yeah, I'll watch Kent getting his, and if I think it's okay,
Nope. I'm not a getting ink kind of
then
guy.
I'll think
either.
about it. Okay, seriously, I'll give it a serious thought.
I've given it serious thought.
You're not a tattoo guy either.
I'm not an ink guy.
Cameron, are you that devoted to astrophotography that you would tattoo it on yourself?
No, I like the story. That's good. But myself.
You're like,
Okay,
no
with
way.
the audience then. Okay, audience, if you're listening. Beatrice says she doesn't like tattoos either, so we know she doesn't have one. Okay, so who out there has tattoos? You don't have to tell us about all the tattoos, but astronomically themed tattoos. And there are some pretty cool astronomically themed tattoos. I've seen analemmas, I've seen phases of the moon, all kinds of stuff like that. You know, comets. So that's an interesting question. Martin Eastman said, nope.
There was a guy, the young guy that went to the Arizona Dark Sky Star Party, just got one full chest tattoo. I can't. What is his name? Trevor.
While you're thinking about that, Kent, I was recalling, Scott, you know, in past global star parties, you had some artists that were invited. I forgot their names, but they were pretty heavily tattooed.
Yeah, artists
Yeah.
sometimes do that.
Yeah. They had very colorful tattoos of galaxies and stuff.
Yes.
I hear a theme happening for a star party. You could have a tattoo star party.
So here's Trevor
A
Watson.
tattoo star party.
Bring a
That
tattoo
would mean
artist
all
in.
of us would have to get tattoos. I could probably do henna, you know, like a henna
Yeah,
you know,
I'll do
tattoo.
So here's Trevor Watson's. It's not necessarily maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show it. What the heck?
It's not necessary. Is it illegal or
No,
Okay.
sort of an astronomical theme to it. And one of his friends says, "Yeah, I bet you felt that." And he says, "Yes, I did." So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so we'll have to see what else
I'm-
somebody
I'm
comes up
looking
with.
here.
That definitely looks like it may have stung just a tad,
Right.
just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit.
I mean-
Okay, well, we digressed here, as we sometimes do. But anyhow, I was starting to recognize people that have that are in our audience. And Richard Grace has signed on first. I mentioned my cousin Mitzi had joined in. That's very cool. Book Davies is with us. Martin Eastburn. He said when he worked in southern France, he would drink a carafe of French espresso, but at 74, he doesn't anymore. Okay. So we had our coffee conversation. Let's see. And let's see. Pekka's on. Frames. Oh, okay. He's responding to somebody else. Harold Locke is with us. He says, howdy, beautiful Southern California day. There's many beautiful Southern California days. That's one of the great attractions of Southern California is its weather. Lived there for a long time, grew up there. Chris Larson's on with us. I mentioned Beatrice Hines, of course, Wade Prunty, Mike Wiesner. He says, after he read my autobiography, Tim Hunter, the IDA co-founder, wants to visit my observatory in the next clear night. I'm looking forward to that. That's very cool. Tim has been a great friend to amateur astronomers for a very long time. Martin Eastburn is responding to my AI comment. What? No robot in the shop that can be trained? Not yet. Not yet. One day robots will be you can buy them, 10 cents on the dollar, but not now. Tons of tattoo ideas. This is from Astro Canuck, but the money goes towards telescopes. Much better investment. Wade Brunny says, where would be the best place on the body to get a full moon tattoo? I am not touching that one. Sorry, guy. Okay.
I know where we could put one planet.
I'm not going there. Beatrice says, I know a woman in the Netherlands. She's a member from the observatory, and she has some Star Trek figures and planets all over her. She's a real Trekkie. That's absolutely. Ken Noble says, mentally, okay, I have a 180 millimeter Mac atop an IXOS 100 mount tattooed in my mind. So where's my T-shirt and hat? Ken, we'll have to work that out. Let's see who else. That was funny. Let's see, Minhorn or Mountain Horn. Mountain Horn. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy a telescope, and that's pretty much the same thing. And that, my friends, is something we can all relate to.
We should put that on a T-shirt.
I think it's already there. I think somebody beat us to the punch. Anyhow, thank you all for watching today. Kent, I am going to turn this over to you. Annie, thank you for keeping us up to date. Before we switch over to Kent, I will say also that the next issue of Skies Up Magazine is getting close, and I think we're probably about another week or so away before we publish edition number 3. So we'll make you aware of that, and it'll have, it has great articles. So I think that you'll really enjoy this issue and past issues that you can just simply download. And with that, Kent, I'm giving it
Scott,
to you.
Wait, Scott, I forgot to say one thing, because we keep forgetting to announce the astrophotography contest.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's for Galaxy. It's the Galaxy contest. The Milky Way is about to, we're about to be able to see that really well. And so I think it runs through August. And I've noticed that on some of the shows we're human. We've been forgetting. And so I just want that to be a reminder out there.
Okay.
So what are the
What your
requirements,
Galaxy
Annie?
photographs? And is that taken with any camera, any kind?
Yes, any kind of camera, just a
This
Galaxy.
is like a
Yep.
open category,
Yep.
any telescope, any camera,
Yep.
any,
Yep.
from a 1-inch telescope to the,
Yep.
10 meter
And
at Mauna Kea, if you can get on it. So
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
And two pictures.
But it has to be
only.
your photograph.
Yeah, it has to be your photograph, 2 pictures only per person, and then of course it's the upgraded membership for prizes and gift cards, and so you can get on our website and look that stuff up.
So to win prizes, you have to be an Explore Alliance
Yes,
paid
you have to be.
member,
Yeah,
correct?
Yep.
And there's only 2 photos per person.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, is that the limit? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So your best 2 Galaxy photos. So,
And don't feel like your stuff can't compete. We've had some beginners that have won and competed against, experienced people, and don't just say, oh, somebody's better than me. Submit your stuff. You never know what's going to strike Annie's fancy.
Well, we have that new classification of like a never before entered kind of thing. So we're going to have we have a new class out there for somebody that's not ever entered a photograph. And so I don't, Tyler and I'll have to get together on more specifics on that, but we're trying to pull a little bit more out of our members. And so I know there's people out there that are probably shooting and don't realize that we want to see your work. We want to see it.
they're making that image and they don't realize they could be the next winner.
Yep.
of our astrophotography contest.
Yeah, it's
That's-
just fun to
that's sad.
contribute and participate. It's really nice, and I love it. I love it. You know, being able to share
Yes.
at every level, and you know, everyone has, just by submitting it is already a great accomplishment. You know, it's I think that it takes a lot. It's one thing to take pictures and store them on the hard drive. It's another thing to post them and especially in a contest. I think that's nice because it forces you to kind of be critical of your own work and kind of offer your best and be proud of that. It doesn't have to win, but you've already won.
Yeah,
But-
it is
but
the
it's-
exercise of doing that. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's very similar to people that run marathons. They may not be the record-setting marathon runner, but you know, going and completing and all of that stuff, it's just good for you. So,
It's your race. It's not somebody else's race.
and even
You're
if you
racing
don't
yourself.
win, your photo is going to be published in Skies Up magazine, the global astronomy magazine. So that is going to happen every time we have a astrophotography contest. So you will get exposure, and you will be seen worldwide. So, okay, all right, I'm turning it over to you, Kent, Mr.
Okay,
Binocular
so-
Man.
Testing open
So-
ox.
Appreciate that. So I'll tell you, tonight we're going to talk about, let's see, what could it be? Oh, let's talk about binoculars, shall we? So, you know, it's the FirstLight Chronicles. And for many people, other than using what our good friend Mike Wiesner calls Ed Gunther, sorry about that, Ed Gunther calls the Mark I eyeball. The next step for many people is a pair of binoculars. And this is a pair of what's called Poro prism binoculars. And the traditional, you know, been around for as long as binoculars have been around. And the increasing in popularity this is a small pair, but they're open bridge and they have what's called roof prisms. And as you can see, they're very small. This is a small pair, but there's prisms in there, and we're going to pop up a page and share it in a minute. This pair is an 8x25 Bresser pair. They really could compress down nicely, fit in a pocket, and you can carry them with you a whole lot easier than you can carry a pair of these. And even the bigger brothers to these and big sisters to these can be pretty compact and fit in a much smaller package. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Almost shared my wrong screen. There we go. So this is the Poro prism. And as you can see, the light comes in and bounces off a prism and bounces through a prism and comes out upside down, which is why the binoculars that I was holding when I started have that zigzag in them, because the prisms are inside of and at 90 degrees to each other. The roof prism are hooked together in such a way that the light just continues to go straight and then is turned upside down. And so that's why the prisms are the way they are. There's benefits to both, but like any good pair of binoculars, if you drop them, those prisms can get out of whack real fast. And so here you can see the light comes in, hits that one prism, gets kicked over to this prism, and then it comes out the bottom, right? Whereas in the roof prism, the light just goes doink, 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 and comes this way and comes out. That's the sound it makes. You don't hear that sound often. If your hearing's not real good, it goes, and that's the sound it makes, the light has going through there. So the things to look for in good binoculars are a good, easy focus mechanism, nice and smooth, and a diopter that allows you to focus close or cover up one side, focus on your left eye, use your left eye to focus. And then when you get done, cover up the left eye and turn the diopter to adjust the focus on this side. Turn the diopter so it matches the focus on this side. So you can match the focus to your eyes, because my eye focuses completely differently. My right eye focuses completely differently than my left eye does. And so a good pair of binoculars will allow you to do that. And binoculars start, at really affordable prices. We have a pair of National Geographic branded binoculars that start at like $32 or $42. And they're, this style of binoculars, and you can spend as much money as you want to on binoculars. There's $3,000 and $4,000 pairs of binoculars out there that are just regular.
What do you
stuff.
get when you spend more money on binoculars?
When you spend more money on binoculars, you get better coatings, more size, typically more magnification, and very light material many times. They're made out of, some titanium or magnesium, and they become very light and easier to hold up. But at that point, it's about the coatings many times. Fully coated means that every glass surface in there has a coating on every side. And so if it's just multi-coated, that means generally the front and the back have coatings and the things inside do not. And so you also get argon purged or nitrogen purged, which makes them waterproof. They have seals in them, and they're submerged in a invisible cauldron of inert gas, and that forces all the air out of it and all the moisture with it. And then they put a plug in, and that plug then holds all the inert gas inside and doesn't let moisture in. So they're not going to fog up on the inside.
Right.
They may fog up on the.
Don't forget about ED glass. That's on some binoculars. We have several that have ED glass, which, although does raise the price quite a bit, the color correction's really excellent in an ED glass binocular. And a lot of times they're coupled with eyepieces that are highly corrected. So,
but you can spend as much money on a car or a boat or binoculars or telescope or fishing rod as you want to, so the point of it is it's just a good way to get started, especially if you have kids, because you can get a couple of pair of binoculars, and many people already have binoculars, and you can go out and look at the planets. You can look at the moon. You can, lay down on a couch and get oriented with your child and start looking to the heavens that way. That's how I got started with my dad, was just using binoculars and just spending time looking up at the sky. The moon's a great target. The planets are a great target. The sun is a bad target. Don't look at the sun with a pair of binoculars. Your eyeballs will not like you for doing that. So like any other optics or anything, non-optics, you really shouldn't look at the sun because it's very bad for your eye. And look, Scott's over there signing certificates.
While you're working, I'm working. So
yeah, absolutely. So go out, any big box retailers, sporting goods stores, set your budget, go out, and people start talking about, okay, well, I want to buy these really big, 60 by 200 binoculars. No, start with a pair of, 8 by 42, 10 by 50, a pair of light, inexpensive binoculars to get you started and start learning the sky, and then start moving up. And, we're doing a birding show now. The 8 by 42 is a really popular size of binoculars for birders. I've not explored why, but they really like the 8 by 32s for birding. And I think the issue is, my instincts are sort of telling me, when you're looking at things up in the sky, you want a big objective lens, big around here, because the bigger this is, the more light's coming in and getting squished down to your eye. Whereas which at night means you need more light to see the fainter things. Whereas when you're looking at birds, you don't need more light because you're looking at in the daytime.
But you need more resolving power, which
right.
is
That's the magnification.
Everybody wants distance and detail with telescopes, binoculars, telephoto lenses, and the only way to get distance and detail is to increase the aperture of the device, In binoculars, it's special because, as Kent points out, a lot of people like the, like an 8x32 or 8x42. The reason for it is because birders are, they're hand holding the entire time. It's not on some sort of secure mount that's going to hold it for you, because you've got to move with the animal, right? And so there's, so they look for something that's rugged. Birders that are very much into, like almost like expedition level birding, they'll look at their binoculars, and they check binoculars by squeezing them and moving them back and forth to see if they will make the two different tubes actually move against each other. You can see how rugged this one is. Okay.
Trying to make it warp.
Right.
Trying to get them to warp, right?
Look at those coatings here. You see there's not anything super bright reflective. So, if you're trying to look for some of the best coatings of all, a perfect coating would actually show none of these colors at all. But no one does that, okay? Because customers don't believe that you've got a multi-coated surface if there aren't colors for them to see, okay? Right? But a perfect coating, an absolutely perfect coating, is absolutely clear. I worked for another telescope company, and we actually did perfect coatings for about a year, and we received so many complaints saying that we had no coatings on there at all, and that we didn't know what we were talking about, okay, when it came to the coatings. So if you're looking at coatings on binoculars, some of the higher end ones, you'll see that they're kind of this kind of a deep purple brown kind of color, okay? Your eye's not very sensitive to it, all right? If you look at some other coatings, they might be bright green. Guess what? Your eyes are very sensitive to green, and you will see a second image coming from the coating color, okay? So these are things that you want to pay attention to. And then it comes down to contrast. And Kent's pointed that out with the multi-coatings and, the internal surfaces of binoculars are very important. But, as most astronomers know, you're holding two telescopes here, and so these are things that you want to consider when you're getting into binoculars.
Are those 56 or 60 millimeter objective? Those ones.
These are 42s.
Those are 42s. Oh, that's a little different. Oh, pretty good. They look really
what
nice.
can you see with binoculars? I mean, really, they're just, these are 42 millimeter objectives. What could you possibly see with this in the sky?
It's like anything else. It's governed by your light pollution. The moon, the planets, all going to be good. The less light pollution you have, the more you're going to see. The double cluster is beautiful in a pair of binoculars.
Pleiades.
The Pleiades is spectacular. The Hercules cluster is a great target. Lots of the M objects being Messier, named after Charles Messier, who was trying to find comets, and he started a list of things that weren't comets. That now is a great entry point for amateur astronomers who are trying to find things manually and learn the sky. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you can see Cygnus.
Cassiopeia.
They're beautiful, but the M objects are all over the sky in the northern hemisphere. On any given night, if you stay up all night and you see like 80 of them on average of the 110. So you can learn they're in all the constellations from the horizon to the galactic pole. They're just a really good entry level. But because of light pollution, those objects become less bright than the sky, and therefore your eyeball can't see them because the brightness of the sky overwhelms them. Double stars are great. In the handle of the Big Dipper is a double star called Mizar and Alcor. You can see them naked eye if you have decent skies. But then when you look through them with a telescope or binoculars, you start seeing other stars that you don't realize you can see, that all that light merges, but the binoculars make those other stars visible. So It's just a matter of getting out and starting and just going. And you can use them for other stuff too. Birding, sporting events, going out looking for Bigfoot, all worthy uses of binoculars.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So I have a sticker here that Ross Ferguson, one of the customer service reps, brought back. I think he went to Colorado and brought back a Bigfoot sticker. And you've noticed it's got a starry background and then the Colorado Rockies and a moon for sort of a belly button, I guess. So that's a sticker.
Maybe it's a tattoo.
Could be a tattoo of the moon. Maybe Bigfoot's trying to come to our star party.
Bigfoot's not afraid of getting a tattoo.
So by the way, ED stands for extra low dispersion glass,
Right.
meaning that the glass doesn't disperse the light. It keeps it. It's designed to really keep the light in phase and in focus. That allows you to see more detail, dimmer things, see things sharper. So ED and fully coated are the high end, really good optics. And we've all seen these commercials on TV where they show the end of the binoculars like bright orange, reflective. From a standpoint of thinking about it, if it's reflecting light back at you, that means that light's not going through the binoculars and coming out into your eyeball. And so if it's got that super reflective coating on it, it's not letting all the light come through to your eye. And that's the whole point, is to get light into your eyeballs so you can see.
Right.
Anyway,
It gives you supervision.
yes, supervision. So that's FirstLight with binoculars, a great way to start. Let me show you a trick. I have yes. I'm going to take my headphones off to show this.
Okay.
You're welcome to doing that.
So if you've got your Explore Scientific cap on, we'll do this. If you're looking through binoculars, your arms, every time your heartbeat does this, and your arms are moving around.
Yeah.
And I don't claim, somebody showed me this and it's brilliant. You get a fitted cap. It doesn't work with a stretchy cap real well. And you simply hold the binoculars like
There you go.
this.
That's a good idea.
And suddenly the binoculars are locked to the bill of your cap, which is hooked to your head, so that when your head moves, the binoculars just automatically move with it, and it stops that heartbeat down, because it's amazing how well that works. It's amazing how well that works to make you
Yeah.
see.
It looks kind of stealthy, you know, like
okay.
maybe, law enforcement might look for a long time with binoculars like that,
Well,
you know?
If you think about how the military does it, they've got their Kevlar helmet, and then the night vision thing has a port that hooks down and it just sits in front of their eyes and hangs there. When they move their head, it moves with it. It's sort of the same principle. And you can see much more detail in birds or deer or the Pleiades.
Well, it's less fatigue too. And that is
Absolutely.
you have just like a little bit of fatigue, but add time, okay? A little bit of fatigue and time, and you get a lot of fatigue, So if you can sit there and watch for 30 minutes or an hour or something like that, then you're going to have a much more enjoyable time. Yep.
Yep. So
Excellent.
anyway, that hat trick is a great trick.
Yes, it is.
It really, you'll get a couple of magnitude potentially better at night, and detail in birds, you can see much more detail because things aren't moving. It's just like a tripod. A best tripod doesn't let the telescope wiggle. You're trying to keep those binoculars from wiggling. You become part of the tripod. You lock it all together. So anyway, binoculars. Get
Yay.
yourself a pair. Yay,
Get yourself-
binoculars.
Yeah, if you're an amateur astronomer, you don't have a pair of binoculars, you're missing a vital tool,
See,
so.
Okay, Scott, I've struggled with this. We call it a pair of binoculars. This would be a pair of binoculars.
that
This
I
is
could-
just a. This is
I can
just a
see why you struggled, yes.
binocular.
Well, it means that you need two binoculars, right?
Two binoculars. This is a binocular.
You
This is-
need a lower power and a higher power
Yes.
binocular, a smaller aperture and larger aperture binoculars. You know, we have those giant,
Telescope binoculars,
right?
Oh, those things.
Pull those things up and show
Oh,
the audience.
I don't have a pair.
We
Next
have
week.
them on our website here.
Yeah, but you don't get the sense of how big they are. I mean,
That's
the big ones
true.
are the big ones are two 120 millimeter telescopes mounted side by side. I'll get a pair of 82s or the 100s. We're sold out of the 120s next week and hold them up. But I mean,
See, you even call it a pair. Right?
I know. I know. It's weird. It's institutionalized in our brains. It's like a pair of pants. You're only talking about one pant, but you say it's a pair of pants, but it's not
Pair.
really. It's
Maybe just one leg is the pant. Okay. And then
Yeah,
if
but
you
that's
got a
pants.
second leg over there, that's the pair.
well, that would be pants, not a pair of pants.
We'll work on that
I
after
don't
the
know.
show. Okay.
It's weird. It's weird.
We're going to work on that after the show.
So this is
All right.
This is the craziness that comes from the mind of an old newspaper guy, pondering the use of words and grammar.
Yes.
So anyway,
That's right. Martin Eastburn is setting us straight here. One side is a monocular, not a binocular.
right?
A double is a binocular or two oculars. Yes.
But we all say binoculars.
And then Ken Noble says, it's like thinking UFOs aren't real, right?
Well, they're real. They just probably are not from Omega Centauri. They're probably from Area 51.
Well,
Or they could be your neighbor's
that is
drone.
fodder for another show. So- all right. Okay. So hope you enjoyed that. And if you have questions on binoculars, Explore Scientific has you covered. We've got advice on how to choose them. We've got a wide range of binoculars ranged in almost every price. Binoculars are a great gift for kids. Somebody, I think Pekka brought up, how do you protect kids from looking at the sun? Is it better to show them, what a magnifying glass will do to like paper where you see it burn and stuff? I think that's the way my parents taught me. They didn't think I don't think they had a thought in their head that I would be as interested in telescopes as I was. But I do remember burning leaves and paper, and I think the palm of my hand with a magnifying glass does get really hot and will damage your retina almost instantaneous. The only person I ever met, Kent, that actually really had sun damage to their eyes was a guy who was at a baseball game and slowly drug his binoculars across the sun. He had had one too many beers. And I remember him coming into the store. He was buying another pair of binoculars. And he couldn't look right at me. He could only look at me from the side because he had already burned out part of his retina. Okay, so part of his retina worked, part of it didn't. So it was all like averted vision, is how he would look at you. So that's the only guy I ever met that actually happened to. But it does happen. So you got to be careful. And when you're with kids, I really recommend that they have adult supervision with any kind of optic until you're quite confident that they know what they're doing, because you only got one chance at that, with the sun. So
there was, I remember after the Great American Eclipse, there was a picture. I think it was a person who had stared at the partial eclipse, and you could see the doctor took a picture of a retina, and you could see the shape of the eclipse burned into her retina.
Like a tattoo.
Yeah.
A brand. Wow.
She branded her eyeball.
Wow. Okay. So don't brand your eyes. Okay. Yesterday on Global Star Party, Cameron gave us a nice update on his Camstronomy Sky Survey. But we get Cameron usually at least 3 times a week. We get him on Global Star Party. He comes on to his Camstronomy show, which is coming up next. And then he's also part of our Focus on Astrophotography series, which is a brand new series. So we're going to take just a quick transition here, and we're going to go to Cameron. So, Ken, is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off with you?
We're starting to see things start moving a little bit, but we still have no really good way of predicting when we're going to get stuff because of shipping.
You're talking about inventory.
Yeah,
product
inventory. Yeah.
Okay.
I get stuff. I get calls asked a couple of times a day by dealers and customers, when's stuff going to be
Right.
here. Used to be, if I knew it left today, it would be here and ready to go to customers in 35 days. But just because something may leave today or tomorrow, we don't know when it's going to get here.
Right. And that is industry wide. It's not only telescopes and optics, but it's virtually everything. If it comes from a foreign manufacturer, and it has to go across the ocean, the backup on containers and stuff like that is pretty crazy. So, I just saw some, some inter-office communication between us and an Asian supplier, and they were recognizing the fact that we have this problem, which creates problems for them and for us and for the customer. So I think the best thing we can do is just keep you informed, so if you have any questions on that, you can ask them on the shows if you want. You can call us at 866-252-3811, which is our toll-free number, or put in a ticket in our customer portal, or you can chat with us live. So we're trying to keep all those communication doors open. At one point, we'll be flush with product, and it'll be no problem. But until we get to that point, it's still a wait. So we appreciate your patience in this time. So, okay, all right. Anything from you, Annie, before we sign off with you?
No, I don't have anything.
No.
I'm good. I'm good.
She'll come into my office here in about 10 minutes and say, but we could have said, so anyways, there's always something more to say about Explorer Alliance.
Yeah, there is always something to
That's
say.
why
about
these keep on
That's
going.
true.
You bet.
That's true. Okay, well, let's transition, and we'll start with Cameron Gillis. Thanks.
All right.
And we're back.
Right. And we're back. Awesome.
And we're back. That's right.
Okay.
It's like magic. So Cameron, you mentioned that you've been going through Ophiuchus and to constellations beyond. Are you taking like swaths of the sky like they do, and I was there when they did some of the Palomar Sky Survey 2 plates at Palomar, and they had this logical swath of the sky that they were doing as they were doing. They were imaging on 14-inch glass plates at, I think, 3 different wavelengths. And, so it was interesting to watch them do that process of a sky survey. Are you doing something similar?
Yeah, actually, and it's evolved over time depending on the type of the portion of the survey I'm working on. So, for example, on the visual survey, which started this fall more than a year ago, what I would do is I would create observing lists in Sky Safari for each constellation. So, for example, I started off with Bootes, Libra, all the way through, and these constellations are sorted in order from west to east. So I started in Bootes about a year ago, which is in prime location right now, and I would do create an observation list based on down to magnitude 13. My 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain, has a magnitude 14 stellar limitation, and I figured for non-stellar objects, deep sky objects, I could go down to 13th magnitude. If I had pretty good sky conditions. I mean, I'm Bortle 6 through 8, but at a pretty high resolution or pretty high power, I can get enough signal to noise in my visual that I can eke out 13th magnitude smaller galaxies, for example, just at the cusp. That's kind of at the threshold. And then what I would do is you'll see like the number of objects like booties, for example. It has 55 objects, and then these are all the different objects in booties. And then what I would do is, after creating that observing list, so for example, let's just choose booties, and I would highlight them. And then we go back here. So here'd be booties. And what I would do is I would start to, there's a little bit of lag, bear with me. I would start to work in a certain logical fashion, because I would go stay from the southwest corner to the northeast corner, depending on the sky conditions, trying to maximize the elevation and the placement, because I have an alt-azimuth mount, and I would work my way in sequence, basically from west to east, and until I would go through. And sometimes this might take me a couple of nights. And I would record all the observations, and then once I had recorded those visual observations, I would, if I go back to my observing list, it would start to check off, and you can actually see the check mark, which shows that I actually have an observation. And then if I click on unobserved, there's none left. And I would do this for every constellation, and you'll notice that if I go through each of these, I won't go through it now, but I basically methodically went through each constellation until there was none that were left as unobserved. And then once they were all observed, then there were certain constellations that would fall behind because they were not in optimum location. And I had to kind of go back and pick them up afterwards. For example, most recently, I just finished up Ursa Major, and if I click on Ursa Major, let me go down here. Ursa Major has a lot of objectives. You see there's nothing unobserved, so I actually finished that. So I went observed, and I go make them all highlighted here. There's always a little bit of lag. Oops, sorry. Oh no. Oh boy. Sorry about that. I accidentally.
We'll go fast. We'll go fast.
Yeah, it's downloading all
the entire universe is downloading right now.
Yeah, I apologize. Because of the lag, it clicked on download DSS, the Deep Sky Survey images. Oh my goodness.
Every wisp of nebulosity, every spiral arm.
Good. Okay, let's try that again. So highlight objects. Okay, so so now you can see quite a number of objects, and this took me several different sessions depending on the placement, because what was happening is, as you can see, zenith here, when I choose, if I go a little bit earlier, it was going through zenith, even though it's premium for an equatorial mount, which I don't have yet. When I have that, then it will be, obviously, I can do much more structured survey. But I have the limitations of an altaz, so that's kind of threw off my sky survey to optimum. But it will, when I get these the equatorial mount, I'll be able to do the sky survey differently, where I can actually go through the meridian and really start combing through more structured. But the way I did it with my altaz, with my visual, like I say, I would just look at it after it passed zenith. So in here, it's starting, and I've just picked off these last galaxies earlier this week, up in the eastern part of the Big Dipper and Ursa Major, and that finished it up. And I also did, at the same time, I did Draco, which is here. I did Western. I had Eastern Draco completed, which had the Cat's Eye Nebula and such. And then I just finished up the Western part of Draco as well, combined with this. So that was how I did the visual. And then what I'm doing on this the sky survey, the Camstronomy sky survey, as following up with the from the visual observation into the imaging smartphone and the my Astro camera. So if I go to the top here, I went through all of those. There's actually around 3,000 objects that I've observed with all the constellations if you tally it all up. And if I go and look at what I've actually categorized as what I call best and brightest, the best and brightest, oops, just, it's, boy, a bit of lag here. So there we go. So now you can see, this is actually a pared down list of the 3,000 objects. So if you go, for example, let's just choose Libra, you'll see what I've done is all these objects that are not highlighted, those are, I've already filtered the settings here. Deep sky, I've set the never show fainter than magnitude 13, which is consistent with my visual sky survey. So I have actually observed all of these objects here that you see, these galaxies, the planetarium. I've actually recorded observations on those, but these ones highlighted in blue are the best and brightest, which is a subset of those. And they tend to be brighter. They tend to be, you know, the faintest one that still makes the cut in the best and brightest is like a 12th magnitude galaxy that's fairly small. So it's distinct enough. It has a high enough surface brightness that that it sticks out in the view. So that's what I've done, and now the way I'm doing that in this Camstronomy sky survey, I'm going through constellation by constellation, similar to what I've done with my visual, but I'm only doing these best and brightest, and we're going through each one of those. And I first of all did smartphone pictures, and then I've also done Astro camera pictures, and now I'm kind of doing a combination of both, depending on where I am, and then I present those. And as I'm doing that, I'm perfecting my techniques in both smartphone astrophotography and in Astrocam astrophotography. And you'll see that as we go through this survey, it will get better and better. And then I'm going to go back in the future when we go through the seasons again, and I'm going to re-image those objects with my perfected techniques in both the smartphone and Astrocam. But I'm just trying to get the basics done right now, because I'm just kind of building the ship as I'm going, and sharing that journey with everyone, so that you can see both the sky survey and at the same time the improved capabilities of the imaging that I'm doing. And then on top of all that, I'm going to cross-reference that, which I haven't fully done yet, but I'm going to cross-reference that with my visual observations that I've taken over the last year, and see how the image compares to what I described, originally. And I'm going to have to obviously recalibrate that. So this isn't a massive task, but you can see how this is a nice kind of I'm a re-grooming and re-combing and gardening, if you will.
I think it gives you a more intimate connection, okay? Because you're doing the organic astronomy visually.
Yes.
You're photographing it. You're using the tools of celestial cartography, and you're kind of bringing this whole experience of the culmination of all the technology that's available to amateur astronomy, but also what you can do with your own eyes. And I suspect that you have a very good feel for what's up in the sky, and
oh yeah,
probably a more profound sense of your place in the universe, by going through this process.
That's a good point, Scott. I think that's a fair statement, and I wanted to kind of advocate that for everyone who's watching as well, because what it does is it really helps you get orientated and, like you say, really know your place. It's kind of like learning your own neighborhood, your own backyard, or when you travel to a place, when you study, if you're going to go on a trip or something, learning the lay of the land, where everything is, and becoming really intimately familiar. It makes it a wonderful experience, because it's like, hey, I know where that is, and you start to, and then when Kent was talking earlier about the binoculars, I mean, even though I might not have an 18-inch Dobsonian, at my disposal, I might be able to say, I know where all those things are. Let's see if I can see them with my binocs if I have dark skies.
Yeah.
And then you start to know, and you already have expectations set on what they look like with both imaging, the way you describe it in different scopes, and it makes it really fun, because you really know what you're looking for. And there was an image I showed previously, which had the pillars of creation, which was done from the Hubble Space Telescope. Similarly, if you have just a humble small 80 millimeter refractor and you take an image of that, what you can do with modest equipment, it's nice to be able to recognize and become familiar with all the universe, basically, and all the different things it has to offer. So just like it's really it's enjoyable to be able to take something that is extremely vast, extremely infinite, and be able to kind of make it digestible for us humans, because it's very overwhelming, right? There's a lot of stuff out there, and to be able to kind of touch everything and get a little bit deeper every time, it's really fun. And that happens as well when you get aperture fever. You start to get into galaxy clusters, and then I remember when I started going into galaxy clusters and 15th magnitude galaxies with my 18-inch, and it's like, wow, but you just can't see it all in a lifetime, right?
Right.
And you start to so then it's like, okay, well, let me kind of come back and kind of review the entire big picture again, and look at everything from a basic level, and get the basic connection. Just like you start off with the constellations. That's the basics, right? Where are all the main stars? Where are the brightest stars? And then you start to learn a little bit deeper. I say, okay, where are the up to magnitude 10 objects, right? Where are the up to magnitude 12? And then you can see where there are neighboring fainter galaxy clusters or whatever. You can start to see where they are in relation. So, for example, I'm now becoming intimately familiar where the Hercules galaxy cluster is, because I've done my imaging, and it's right here. If I turn up the magnitude, it's just at the foot of Hercules, and I change the magnitude here. There's your galaxy cluster in Hercules, and you start to know where these things are. So I just kind of go back to.
There's so many galaxies.
Oh yeah. So like I just by changing this filter on and then going back, you start to see where the galaxy clusters are as you zoom in. It's like, hey, I wonder if that's. Then I did some research, and I was like, sure enough, that's the Hercules galaxy cluster right here. And then you start to see, okay, let's go back. Let's pair it back and zoom in.
It reminds me when I pulled some blood out of my finger and looked at the blood cells under a microscope, the way that they were distributed and stuff. So
yeah,
it's cool.
And then just like you find the brightest star and you do a star hopping, you find the brightest galaxy. Like this one is 6047, is right in the center of the Hercules galaxy cluster group, for example. And then now you can start to look for that anytime you're imaging, or if you happen to be lucky enough to go to a dark sky and look through a 30-inch Dob or whatever and say, hey, and then you start to become orientated and become really familiar with with the universe, and you really feel connected, Scott, like you said earlier. It's really a wonderful feeling to have that familiarity.
You know,
So,
from, you know, spending some time now listening to your presentations and all the rest of it, I can tell that you are definitely, you know, you're now in the you know, taking the deep end adult swim into you know, deep sky observing. So it's very cool. It's very cool. Yet, you know, many of us uh, only kind of touch on you know, the experiences that you're having, and you know, it's nice to see someone take it in. You know, you got a systematic approach, which is great. But I think the things that you're learning and accumulating as you're going on through the sky is as I said before, profound. I think it's great. So
thanks, Scott. And I really thank you so much for your encouragement and really
and thank you. I
inspiring.
know you're encouraging. There's people that chime in all the time about your sky survey method and all the rest of it. So you're a great inspiration to the audience, and you know, it makes you want to get outside and do, you know, start observing with you. So that's very cool.
And that's the other thing, Scott. I mean, what I've learned is, you know, as you go through and you go through the aperture fever and you go through all the different types of observing, planetary, you know, lunar, solar, you realize that you want to actually mix it up and have a diverse, broad range of skills that you build, because it makes it really enjoyable. For example, just in the last week, I went from, you know, smartphone photography, imaging to astrocam imaging, perfecting that a little bit, back to visual, and then just kind of, that gives me some time to kind of digest and think about how to improve, and also check and still, you know, and enjoy all the different enjoyment of all those things, what they have to offer, right? They all have different elements of being able to connect and reach out between techniques, intimacy with the object. You learn how to observe better. You learn what to look for. You learn your orientation, including star hopping. There's so many things as you start to go through. Even if you're not looking at the deep sky objects, you're just doing the brightest objects, to be able to do different techniques, right? Different telescopes, different apertures, different fields of view. Some objects are like just beautiful. Like, I'm just enjoying taking pictures and observing open clusters in the Milky Way. Like, normally open clusters were always kind of the boring, you know, object. But if you start to do the sky survey, there's a lot of clusters that are pretty simple, little groupings of stars, but there are many out there as you start to do the survey that are just beautiful gems. They have nice little, they may have different colors in them. They might have different brightness, different patterns, and they're just gorgeous to look at, you know, and so it's really, and they're beautiful to image too, just to be able to capture the colors. You don't have to overexpose them too much. They're not like faint nebulosity. So if you do short exposures, you can get really nice colors of the stars. And yeah, I mean, just really fun. So, and of course, as we continue here, Scott, I will continue to share my thoughts and my experiences.
I appreciate it. We're getting some responses from the audience here. Let me see. There was some conversation about binoculars and what they are. Yeah, actually, if you look on Wikipedia and look at binoculars, it has a parallel history with the telescopes, you know, and so very interesting. Let's see. Harold Locke says a 21st century deep sky survey. All right. Martin Eastburn, I have and used 1950, 2000, and hope to get in the 20s a full-blown computer-generated 2050. He's talking about the epoch of the star charts here. A 2050
Yes.
star map set. Please, big guys, make one for us, not just books for you. Okay. Well, I'm sure that, I really think that that computer generated star maps have really displaced a lot of the printed stuff that you have out today. But computer generated star map is not only probably a little bit more accurate because there's probably something different from the placement of a pixel on a screen versus when you commit ink to paper. Okay.
Yes.
So there's you probably have a little bit more accuracy. The zoom in features, the ability to pull out layers of stuff. If you go to some other programs like Worldwide Telescope, for example, that's now run by the American Astronomical Society, you can switch sky surveys from like infrared to visible to and I think they have almost all the different massive sky surveys that have been done on that. So we're kind of like to that level. A star map, though, the printed star map is very nice because it doesn't require batteries. It's something tangible you can hold in your hands. So I still tend to use actually both computer generated star maps and printed star charts. So I find them
Yes.
both useful. But will there be a major 2050, Epic 2050 star map, printed star map? I don't know, so that's a big question. Harold Locke says, it's an awesome inspiration, Cameron. Willing to pay to have you on my bookshelf to pass on to future family. There we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a nice
Well,
compliment.
thank you so much. That's nice.
Yeah. Let's see. I was looking for it. Harold Locke replying to Scott. I was looking for it. Didn't come up. I'm not sure what we're talking about there, Harold. Maybe you can help me out a little bit. Let's see. Jeff Wise. He says, now I can look forward each night to see what I can find with these new camstronomy methods. That's true.
Oh, call out to Jeff. Him and I, we've been connecting offline,
Yeah.
and he's been helping me tremendously. Thank you so much, Jeff. You've been great, and it's like drinking from a fire hose. But I'm as you can see, I'm keeping the pressure at a certain level so I can digest it. But it's really, I really appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
Yeah. I think Harold was looking for our Amazon store or something, so I shared the link. So I think he's got it now.
Cool.
Anyways,
yes. So
Yes.
so with that, thanks a lot, Scott, and that kind of sets the stage. So this is
Sure.
the Sky Survey. I've created a list of what we've actually went through so far. So all these ones in blue are what we've went through, and then what's remaining or what I'm going to show about this week is the northern part of Ophiuchus. I'm going to
Mhm.
show eastern serpents and scutum. And then moving on to next week, we'll dive into Sagittarius. So with that said, as I mentioned it earlier, I've done some visual observing just to kind of take advantage of the placement of some of the constellations I couldn't observe earlier. So that included the Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, and Draco. And I got 40 new observations in. So now I'm above 3,000 observations over the last year. And then I've classified 820. So we're broke 790 or whatever last time. So we're added another 44 that I've categorized as best and brightest that are part of our Sky Survey. Out of those 821 objects, we have observed or we have explored together in Camstronomy 53. So we're making a good bite out of that 800. So we're going to get through that probably in about a year. We'll cover everything and then start to comb through it and make it even better. But for now, 53 of the objects have been imaged, and 53 are objects actually as well. And then this week, we have 18 new images and 12 new objects today. So, and this is where they are, in northern Ophiuchus, eastern Serpents and Sputum. And I'm also going to, at the tail end, we won't spend too much time. We talked a little bit last night about it, but I want to spend more time on Friday to talk about some of my learnings on calibration frames that I've done with my astro imaging, including bias, darks, and flats. It's not perfected yet, but again, a call out to Jeff. He's been giving me a lot of good tips, and I've been getting better, and I want to start to share some of that. So let's go in. So M107 is where we left off last time. I'm going to skip through that. So we're now going to be in M12. So M12, let's zoom in here. So we ended last week with M107. Now we're moving up into M12. So if I zoom in. And actually, I'm just looking here. Yeah, we're going to use, let me just change the, I'm going to change the equipment here for a second. Scope display. So we're going to go, we're going to use my 26 millimeter Explorer Scientific. That was what I used with my smartphone. And then I'm going to use my Evolution 8 with the f6.3 focal reducer and the 294 for my astro imaging. So those are the two. So these are the two fields of view. So M12 is really bright, 6.7 magnitude. And if we look at the distance, it's going to be in the tens of thousands. Yep, 16,000 light years away. Has a nice multiple colored core. We pick up the different brightnesses in the smartphone. You can see the nice speckling. And it's nice. It's fully resolved, even with the smartphone. And then this is the ASI 294 image. And again, I'll just say it once. You can see the big netting. I haven't taken flats, and there's a dust mote. There's some, it's not perfect, but this will get better. But this is just my first single shot, and I'm just doing that as a survey, and it's already pretty good. It's already a bit better than the Sky survey. You can see the granularity, very nice, and just again as a footnote for as we go through these images. Anytime I have a circular image here, that's through the eyepiece, through the smartphone. And anytime there's a rectangular image, that's through my astro imaging camera. So in this case, the 294. Oops. Let's move on to M10. So M10. I'll zoom back out here. A little bit of a lag. There we go. M10 is very close by neighbor. And M10 is magnitude 6.6, about the same. And its distance is 14. So it's in the same neighborhood. It's 14,000 light years. A little more denser core.
Yeah.
And you can see that in the image. There's a nice little satellite coming through. 8 seconds, 8 seconds streak here. And but a nice, again, fully resolved. And then I didn't have an astro image of M10, so we're going to move on to the next one. But I just want to highlight the way I've done all these images. You can see the star orientation. So when I do the visual place solve, you can quickly see how all the stars line up with the image on the right compared to the actual image here. M14. So let's go to M14 now. M14. So Ophiuchus is full of globular clusters.
Yeah.
It's and it's neat because you can see if let me just take a quick zoom out. If you look, this is the center of our galaxy in Sagittarius, right? The Sagittarius star code right here. And if you can just imagine in three-dimensional space, that's the other thing about doing the sky survey. You start to see kind of a distribution. You get a really good sense of the distribution of objects. And you can see, obviously, around the galaxy's core, and a kind of a halo around it, you see the globular clusters making like a little cloud around, like a little halo around the center of our galaxy. So it's kind of neat to be able to see that and imagine it in 3D. So now we're getting into M14. And there's a bit of a lag here. There we go. It's a bit fainter, magnitude 7.6. And we look at it, it is 30 is quite far. Yeah, so that makes sense. It's a couple well, it's a magnitude fainter than M12 and M10. It's about twice the distance, 30,000 light years. And as a result, it's fainter. And if we look at the image, you can see it's also reflected in this smartphone image. But again, it's quite a large and very nice, even modeling you can see across the surface. Not as intense of a core and not as much speckling of bright stars, but a very nice cluster nonetheless. And this one I took an astro image with my 294, and you can see quite a bit denser and quite a bit larger than the others, even though it's further away than M10, M12. So the nice part is being able to see the differences. You could say, oh, I've seen one cluster, globular cluster, I've seen them all, you know. Actually, no, it's really fun to see the nuances. Some of them are very faint and large and diffuse. Some are very dense and tight core, and then there's everything in between. And some have layers of bright stars overlaid, superimposed. Some have a nice even shape. So it's nice to be able to pick up these nuances, both visually and also photographically. Okay. Now we're moving to there's a galaxy in Ophiuchus, of course, always a galaxy, and it happened to make the cut. 6384. This is going to be quite a bit farther away. It's going to be in the tens of millions of light years, probably. Magnitude 10.8, so quite bright. And if we go to the information, let's see how far this guy is. If I could just move that out of the way. Yeah, it's an 80 million light years. So I guessed in the tens of millions, and yeah, sure enough, 80 million light years away. So obviously much further than the globulars, but it's pretty reasonable. Fairly bright. And if we go to the image, smartphone image, you can see a nicely defined oval here between the two stars. I love it when galaxies make a pattern with the stars in the foreground.
Sure.
So you can easily triangulate visually where they are. So it makes it easier when you're doing averted vision and observing it to be able to find out, that's it for sure. So you're not guessing. So this is one of those that is in a good placement. Here's the same thing, the same galaxy with my astrocam, and you can see better defined. You can see the halo and the nice shape, and you can see it between the same two stars, making a nice triangle. And later on, when I get better, you can see that I also include the fainter galaxies, but it doesn't. I don't want to go into that right now. But later on, when I get better with my imaging techniques and I get a darker background and all that, and a flatter field, we'll be able to eke out these in the follow-up survey that's to come. For now, I'm just doing the broad brush with the brightest. IC 4665. So if we go 4665, beautiful open cluster. And I was very selective in my open clusters. Like you say, there are many of them as we get into the galaxy, but galaxies band spiral arms. But I chose the ones that are the prettiest and nice. And if they were just very dissipated, then I wouldn't be. But this is a really nice one, and you can see the field of view isn't very good. But if in a binoculars or a rich field telescope, you would really. This is a beautiful cluster. It has nice stars. These are actually both of them are images. I don't have the smartphone. Yeah, I don't have the smartphone. So both of these are. Wait a minute. This is actually the. What do you call it? This is the actual. Sky Safari picture. Sorry,
Okay.
And this is the actual image. So pretty good. As you're getting away from the light pollution and the glare, the big netting doesn't show up as badly. But it's nice
Right.
to be able to see the different colors. This is a yellow star you can see, and then some brighter, whiter, kind of light yellow. And it makes kind of a little dipper shape grouping here. So it's a pretty cluster. And if I look at the specs of it, it's very bright, magnitude 4.2. And probably visible, of course, in the naked eye in the dark sky. 1.1 thousand light years. So it's quite a bit closer than the globular clusters. So this is within our Milky Way, of course. Next object is NGC 6572 Planetary Nebula. So I go 6572. It's a magnitude 8, very bright. Actually, some planetary nebulae are so bright they basically look like stars. And this is look like it's one of those. And because it's so stellar, they actually have the distance. Remember, if you recall from previous episodes when we were looking at planetary nebula that are more diffuse, very difficult to find the distance. But this one, 2.6 thousand light years away. So it's twice as far as the open cluster. And let's take a look at the picture. So you can see these two stars here, and there's a bright star right beside that ignites it, actually. And you can see the smartphone, when I zoom in, pretty good. It's very bright, intense blue. That's a giveaway for, I guess, because of the hydrogen in the shell. And if we look at the smartphone image, I didn't zoom in on it, but you can see it makes that triangle, and it's so this one could use some more focal length and maybe some more zooming in. But that's the advantage of the smartphone. You can kind of zoom in and get quite a bit of detail. But this I'd have to play with some more to get a more optimum picture.
Hey,
And that's
Cameron,
the other, yeah.
Hey, Cameron, go back to your smartphone picture again. And,
This is the smartphone picture.
yeah, go back to the previous slide, or the full field view.
Oh, you mean the this one here?
Yes. So
This is actually the ASI 294. Yeah.
okay, but you can tell that it's not a star. It has a surface area to it like a planet.
Yes. Yeah.
Thus-
and you're right, Kent. And actually, if I did some more processing, I could probably eke it out. But I think the pixel scale on this is, I'd have to get a higher, like I'd probably need a Barlow or something to get enough. But you're right, you can start to see that it's non-stellar. Yeah, that's a good. So if we look, we got the specs. So the other thing I want to say about this, Kent and Scott and team, is as I'm doing this, I'm finding that different, tools, of course, are good for different objects, which is, of course, self-explanatory. But as you start to go through this yourself and take more images, you start to say, okay, well, when I go back and do the sky survey again on planetary nebula that are stellar planetary nebula, I'm going to use a different setup, and I'm going to just only do pictures of those with that setup. So, for example, I might use a Barlow, I might use a bigger zoom on or a higher powered eyepiece for my smartphone, this type of thing. I'll play around with that. And once I found the optimum rig and setup for that, I'm going to resurvey these stellar planetary nebula and then add them to my observations, as opposed to, let's say, a non-stellar planetary nebula that's just a puff cloud. That would be, I'd want to use a UHC filter or an oxygen-3 filter, and then I'd use a wider field and a longer exposure and stack, and I might want to have a bigger aperture to be able to get those planetary nebula. And again, I'll set up that rig and then do some images that. But as I go through and categorize this, when I comb through this again, now that I've had a catalog that we're building together of all these objects of this first sky survey, then we can go through and then easily pick through and say, okay, these 10 objects in this constellation, I'm going to use this setup. And then you can start planning and have a really fun kind of punch list as you go through, and then do your next round of deeper analysis or deeper exploration. Okay, 6633, another cluster, open cluster. 6633. This is the last object in Ophiuchus. 6633. Magnitude 4.6, and I'm going to guess it's in the thousands of light years. Let's check it out. Yep, 1.2 thousand light years. And you can see probably these objects will be great binocular objects. You know, they'd be small in a binocular, but they would still be, they're big enough. As you can see, this is about almost a degree. This is about a half a degree, maybe a third of a degree. That's big enough that you can have some good enjoyment, and especially if you're in a dark sky, these would be nice objects to pick out. So this is the view. I only took a picture with the. I started moving into my astro imaging. I kind of got on a roll with my astro camera 294. So here's a nice speckling, and you can see it's a really nice grouping of brighter stars with some fainter stars in behind. It's a very pleasing cluster to look at. I see 4756. Again, fairly bright, 4.6 magnitude. Check it out. 1.6 thousand light years away. Okay. And if we go, this one here, it's a little more spread out. It looks better. This is an example where it would look better in an eyepiece with a wider field telescope, because now you can start to see the denser grouping of the stars. This is kind of getting to the limits, as you can see, of the field of view of both the astro imaging camera of my Schmidt Cassegrain. So this would be a wonderful thing in an 80-80, for example, to image or view. Ah, yes. Now we're moving into, we're going to do scutum. We're moving back down. And the wild duck cluster. Now I have to say, this is a fantastic object. It's actually a show object. I showed it to my wife and my daughter, and they actually said, "Yes, this is nice." And I can tell you, this is a wonderful object to show. It's almost like it's so dense. It's almost like a globular cluster, a loose globular cluster, and just beautiful. So here's the smartphone image, very dense. What's the distinguishing factor on wild duck clusters? There's one bright star in the middle, right here, that stands out when you see it. So you see this nice grouping, and then you have one bright star in the middle that really stands out visually. It doesn't come out so well in the pictures. Maybe a little bit better in the 294 picture, but just a beautiful cluster. I cannot say enough. It's a really nice one, and fantastic with binoculars too. It's like a very dense, and if you have ED binoculars with good resolution, you might, I don't know if you could resolve it, but it probably would look granular. That's something that we'd have to test, but it would be highly recommended. And let's check it out. Magnitude 5.8, so it's not super bright, but it has a high density, high concentration of stars. 6.1 thousand light years away, so it's pretty far actually.
They say it's the furthest cluster, of its type that can be seen with the human eye.
There you go. You can see with the naked eye. Yeah, it's bright enough. 5.8 magnitude.
M11. Yeah.
Yeah. So and you can imagine, you go to Nebraska Star Party. Oh, man, this would be awesome. Yeah. This is I highly recommend. Anyone going to the Nebraska Star Party, check out M11. Next one is, I think, 6172. Let's take a look. Yeah, 6172. Okay, 6172. Let's scutum. Magnitude 8.1. Ooh, it's a globular cluster, of course. It's 23,000 light years away. So again, globular clusters, we're seeing a pattern. in the tens of thousands of light years. Open clusters and such are in thousands of light years within the galaxy. So you start to get a three-dimensional view in your mind of where all these things are. So 6712 is it's nice. It's pretty even, nice granularity, pretty dense. Even with the ASI 294, you can see. So visually, you can see some modeling. You maybe see a couple of these brighter stars. There's some planetary nebula off to the side. They're in the same view. I don't know if that's it actually right here. This might be it, but I'd have to take a proper image of that. I didn't make the cut in best and brightest. It's a magnitude 12.5. I did observe it, but that's the other thing. The sky, literally, the sky's the limit. I mean, after I've done this survey, I can go through again and take pictures and images of all the objects down to 13th magnitude, which is 3,000 objects, right? So there's a whole
Quite a bit.
infinite survey that to continue. But for now, let's just crawl before we walk, and make sure we cover everything so that anyone with smaller instruments or starting out can already get to the first rung on the ladder. Okay, let's go. Oops.
Hey, Cameron, Scott, I've got to take off. My
Hey,
wife
thanks. Okay.
is asking me to come do a honeydew list. So
Oh.
off I go, because I know where my bread gets buttered.
Family,
You'll have
Yes.
fun.
family first, Kent.
Yep.
Thanks.
See
Absolutely,
y'all.
Kent.
Yep.
You bet.
Bye-bye, guys.
Take care, man.
Bye,
You bet.
everybody.
Yeah, cheers. So yeah, here's a nice one, M26. Okay, here's a nice cluster. So magnitude 8, faint from a cluster compared to the earlier ones we saw. However, and it's 5.4. It's in the range of clusters. It's a little halfway as close as M11, but it's a beauty. It has multiple colored stars. It has some yellow and some whiter colored, and it has these bright grouping of stars plus some fainter ones. But I love that when you have superimposed bright stars with some fainter ones neighboring. It's a really nice grouping. And we're going to end it with the Eagle Nebula. So zoom back out here. Now we're back in Eastern Serpens. So this is interesting because, when I first was, getting into astronomy and I was looking at Sagittarius, I would kind of group all these nebulae together: M8, Trifid Nebula, the Swan Nebula, Omega Nebula down here, Eagle Nebula, but the Eagle Nebula is actually in Serpens. It's not in Sagittarius. So just a fun fact. It's the one that kind of sticks out. So before we dive into Sagittarius, I figured we'd end with the Eagle Nebula, and let's take a look. Eagle Nebula is actually just similar to the Lagoon Nebula. It has a star cluster and a nebulosity. I'll just zoom in here. So we look at the Eagle Nebula, quite bright, magnitude 6.4. But the main reason why it's magnitude 6.4, don't be fooled, is not because of the nebulosity, but because of the stars. So if you actually try to see this visually, it's one of the fainter ones. It's a lot like the Trifid Nebula, very diffuse, very difficult if you have light polluted skies. But you'll be pleasantly surprised what you can get out from imaging or with an imaging system, even in light polluted skies. And that's what I'll show you. But this is 5.7 thousand light years away. So it's obviously in our galaxy. And we go to so this is my picture. So with my 294, again, this big netting gets amplified as you get further down, I realized, to the atmosphere, and you're getting more light pollution. You see, this gets more pronounced, and there's a way of getting it flattening the field a little bit better. But I was just thrilled to be able to eke out this nebulosity, which eludes the visual observer a lot. You can see a little bit of patchiness around the cluster, around this area here, but you can never see the pillars of creation you just get it. But with the imaging, I was very happy. This was, I think, a 30-second a single shot. And then I zoomed in. I got so thrilled that I got the pillars of creation. I zoomed in, and I already shared this previously, but I'll do it one more time. To be able to see the structure in a modest equipment with a simple exposure, including all this direct nebulosity, the pillars of creation, and seeing the same features that the Hubble, obviously the Hubble is extremely pleasing to you with all this super sharp picture, but to be able to recognize some of the features, the landmarks, if you will, including the stars, these 3 stars here, these 3 stars here, these 2, and then you can see that little dark Bach nebulosity here, just eking itself out. So with a little bit of work and more perfected techniques, we can get even better and eke out even more details. But to be able to go from 0 to this, moving from visual to imaging with modest equipment, is just a wonderful enhancement to the overall experience and your own exploration. So I cannot say enough that now is the time to switch from pure observing to EAA and astro imaging. The technology is available. It's relatively, in quotes, easy, and we're gonna in this program we're gonna continue to help people get set up so that everyone can enjoy this for themselves.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Just reading a little bit more about what you're looking at there, the pillars of creation are, I mean, some of the most famous and inspiring, objects that Hubble has taken pictures of. You got the Hubble image up there. It's described as, the star cluster, which is, I think, in the top upper right-hand part of the frame in your picture, Cameron. Emitting scorching, ultraviolet light that's coming down on this. But you can think of the pattern in the etching of this as kind of like how water or wind erodes a rock formation or something, but it's eroding. The winds are picking off particles and just step by step to create that beautiful pillars of creation shape.
yes.
And that little region, that box that you got there from the Hubble's telescope image is something like 70 by 55 light years. Okay, so that's still a huge region. I suppose if you flew right up to it, you wouldn't even see it,
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, okay, where did it go? But
Be immersed, yeah.
yeah, but beautiful and amazing object to look at. And you've pointed out this before, Cameron, but when you compare Hubble to your image, you can still see many of the fine features. It's not as highly resolved, but we are talking about not a telescope in space, not a, multi $1,000 camera. We're talking about a smartphone, okay, attached to a relatively affordable telescope. And, you've got color from the hydrogen cloud. You've got many of the same stars. You can see the tendrils where star formation is happening. This is a birthplace of stars. It is, the more you kind of meditate on this one object, it is really, you're seeing, creation and destruction happen all right there, right before you, and it's happening in real time, so it's very cool.
Oh yeah, and when you explain that, Scott, about the solar wind, so to speak, this ionized radiation going in this direction, you can really start to visualize what's happening. It's like the aurora borealis almost, right? It's like you're creating a shockwave here, this front here, and that's why there's a trail. You can see this is a trail almost from this one here, and all of these. It's really cool when you understand what's going on, and you put that all together, and it just makes enhances the overall understanding and appreciation for what you're looking at. And it brings meaning to just a checkbox, right? It's like, oh, okay,
Oh yeah, I got that one. Yeah.
yeah, I got yeah. which it
Yeah,
has its own
Camstronomy does
satisfaction.
go beyond a lot of the observing programs that you might see, because it really is a fusion. You talked about EAA, electronically assisted astronomy, visual astronomy. Using maps to understand the sky, using your own eyes and controlling an instrument to understand the sky. So, I have heard Cameron many times in my, little history of selling telescopes that, well, why would I buy a telescope when there's already, giant telescopes on Mauna Kea and the ELT being built and Hubble Space Telescope and the new James Webb and all the rest of it. What can I contribute to the whole thing? Well, this is what you can contribute, because you too can join in an adventure of exploration that humans have been doing since antiquity. And you are, you're not outside of this circle. You are actually part of it, and like Carl Sagan said, we are a way of the cosmos, realizing itself. So
Yeah.
you're participating in it. You're part of the exercise of it. And so it is. And yes, we can't take the images as high resolution as Hubble, but wow, look at what you can get,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and it is your understanding. So the more and more you are involved with this, as you're using the different tools, and you're using a method, I mean, you don't have to use the Camstronomy method, but it is a method of fusing these things together. And by fusing this stuff, okay, you gain a much deeper appreciation,
Yes.
You approach that kind of sacred understanding, okay, of the universe. So
Yes. Literally, you're connecting the dots.
yes,
You are connecting the dots, just like a star hopping. You are connecting where the objects are. You're connecting the depth of them through your research. And as you look at them, you can look at other images. You compare it to your own, and then you reach a certain level that you just like going anywhere, on a trip to Europe or anywhere. You might not have as much as a resident, but you'll have an appreciation of what's there, and all the lay of the land, and all the beautiful sites, and the history of those sites. It's very much the same type of thing. You're going on this exploration, and you're really doing it for two different reasons. One is the byproduct is you're increasing the consciousness and of human civilization, right? But for yourself, you're also helping yourself understanding where you fit in, and the orientation, and that familiarity, that nice feeling of home, if you will, like where we are in the universe, and how do we fit in, and it's like when you look at these
what it's all
galaxies,
about.
yeah, it's like, hey, I know where that is, and I know how to find that, and it's a really great feeling, and it's good for you. It's good to be,
for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. How else can we say this, folks? It's good for you.
Anyhow, and I guess we'll just wrap it up, Scott, with
Okay.
one last thing. I'll talk about. This is just a setup. I talked about it last night. We're going to talk about it on Friday briefly.
Okay.
But this is how I've done my flats. I'm going to get better, and those images that I showed you earlier, including the pillars of creation, will look that much better because I'm applying calibration frames. I haven't done that yet, and this is my attempt at flats, And the one little tip I'll share with you, these are the examples of flats. This is a dark, this is a bias frame, and this one is a flat. So those are the three different types of calibration frames. And the
Mhm.
hardest one to take is the flats. And the flats, I found out if you use a monitor, that you can adjust the brightness and just do a PowerPoint presentation with a white screen. That is a way you can calibrate based on exposure and brightness your flats. And the details of this, I will document and I'll share in future episodes as I go through, because it's one thing to kind of figure out how to do something, and then the first time, it's another thing to validate it and make sure it works consistently. And then finally, the last thing is it's another thing entirely to distill that and share it with everyone so that you can repeat it. So that is going to take some time, so bear with me, but I just wanted to give everyone a preview that I'm working on these things, and eventually this will be properly documented, and then I'm going to go through and give a live demonstration in the future on how I actually did this so that we can get consistent results for future imaging. So that's basically, because it won't take that long once I get it refined and I've optimized it, but I'll show you how I take all of these different calibration frames so that we can all repeat this on our own setup. So that's how I'll end it. So
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you very much. This is inspiring. Thank you very much, Cameron.
Okay.
Let's see some comments before we call it an evening here.
Well, I want to, one quick thing. I just
Yeah.
want to give one shout out again. Jeff has been really helping. Jeff Wise has been a key guy to help me out with this calibration.
Very cool.
Thank you.
It's very cool.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Sorry.
Martin Eastburn said that's like the dragon breaking out of the bank. A daylight run on Hubble and an evening run on cams. Okay. Cool. Harold Locke wonders what it would be like to be inside of those deep sky objects. You know, I'm sure there are space artists that have attempted to draw some of those and paint some of those views. So that would be something to kind of dig into to experience what that might be like. Harold Locke says, Camstronomy is helping reinforce what my own observations are providing, and he is expanding to places I haven't seen and adding to my list. Oh, yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's great. Broaden the horizon. Yeah, this is nice.
Right. It looks like Wade Prunty shared an image. What I can't see the image in my chat feed here, Wade, but I'm sure it's awesome. Let's see. Beatrice says that she uses a flat field generator to make flats. Okay, so another way. Harold Locke, I got to see those images with the calibration frame applied. Please, that would be a big breakthrough that I need. Okay. Oh yeah, and Wade says, don't forget the dark flats or flat darks, however you say it. So that is another one. I will tell you though, if you do flats, you do darks, and you do bias, and most people only do darks. Okay, they don't do flats and they don't do bias. But the more calibration frames that you use and the way that you can use them, you can get big improvements in your final image. So,
yeah, and the big part of that is to be able to make it repeatable and do as much pre-processing as possible, where basically when you get the original image, it's already pretty clean. So you minimize the amount of post-processing. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
That's right. No, that's fine. So, and Pekka wanted to add, we were talking about being inside of one of these nebula or one of these celestial objects. He said, you can do it in your mind. And that's true. That's very true. Just prepare you before doing observations and you'll get it. Okay.
As you were describing the nebulosity and the pillars there, Scott, in my mind, I was imagining myself floating in the nebula too, right? I was just kind of like kind of looking at it in a new way, right?
Well,
Kind of
we are.
three-dimensional.
We are probably locked in some nebula as well, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like when you get really, really, you're trying to get to the rainbow's end, you know, and you're driving your car or running towards it, or and it's become so diffused you can't see it, you know. And so
Yes.
that's kind of where we are.
Yeah.
Although there probably are some objects out there that are so compacted, you know, that we could see something pretty amazing. I've heard of, you know, descriptions of what it would be like to be inside of, you know, globular star clusters and stuff, where you have so many stars close enough to you to where there are many, 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 many suns, you know, so that kind of thing. So that's something I personally love, globular star clusters. And I was reading through that there was some recent discoveries of more globular star clusters, you know, kind of in the heart of our Milky Way. So I think 3 more were discovered, something like that. So there's so much more we haven't seen yet. You know, we are, you know, we are explorers, you know, and finding stuff from the, you know, the most microscopic to the largest scale structures that we can understand in the universe, you know, but there's still so much more discovery to be done. And that just kind of peels back layers of the unknown, or maybe ignorance that we might have, you know, about our place in the universe. So you can take that on a very personal level, because it is personal. You're made out of stardust, and you know, and it's worth taking some time every day just to contemplate that, you know. So because it's good for you. So,
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly.
I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says it's good for you. By the way, Annie, I know you've been watching in the background, but I did sign all of these. Okay, so there we go.
That's only half of them.
You got more, I'm sure, right?
Oh, I have tons more. I have
Okay,
tons
good.
more for you. So,
My
hey,
hand's
Cameron.
still kind of working. So
Hey, Cameron, I want to say that I am absolutely impressed by what you're doing.
Oh, thanks, Annie.
A couple of weeks ago, whenever you showed us that, I don't know, the beginning was just like smaller stars and things like that. And then you gave us a little taste of something else. I was like, I can't wait to see that. So yeah, I'm really impressed with what you're doing. It's really amazing. So
Thanks a lot, Annie, and you know, that's the part of the fun is kind of restraining yourself a little bit, because there as I'm going through the sky survey, it's very tempting to just go, oh, look at all the best objects, right? It's like, let's just show all the best stuff, right? But it's really fun to kind of go around in a structured way, because then you start to really appreciate. And when you go back to the brighter objects, it's like, hey, you could see more detail in them, and you can get a deeper appreciation. So it's nice to be able to ebb and flow and go through the whole journey and connect the dots, so to speak, right? So thanks.
yeah, Harold Locke wanted to know if his certificate had been printed yet. I am sure it's printed. I just haven't signed it yet. So we will get there, Harold. That's a promise. Jeff Wise says they are amazing, just sitting up there in the sky. No gravity, just a ball of stars, different colors too. That's right. So
Yeah, globular clusters are awesome.
yeah. So you guys have a good night tonight. Hopefully it's clear wherever you are. You can spend a few minutes or a couple of hours looking at the stars. And, you know, if you had a stressful day, just decompress, okay? Because the universe has got your back. So,
yes.
And we will see you tomorrow, okay? We've got On the Wing, I think, tomorrow. Is that right? Yeah. So with Dan George. So we've got the whole universe of ornithology to check out. So there we go. All right. And thanks to everybody in the audience that watched and commented. You're as much a part of this as us making any presentation. So thanks very much. And we will see you, same bat channel. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
bye.
cool. I like this.
Hey, everybody, Scott Roberts here. Scott at work. Just wanted to let you know that our membership in Explore Alliance continues to grow. Right now, I'm signing certificates of membership, each and every one. They asked me if I wanted to have a automated signature or something. I thought, no. And then they said, well, do you know how many members that we have? And I said, it doesn't matter. You know, if I'm going to have a certificate, I'm going to sign it. Anyways, for all of you that have joined Explore Alliance, thank you very much. And if you are interested in Explore Alliance and its member benefits, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to answer that for you. Take care.
You really got to become master at the camera there.
I don't know.
you got everything placed really nice. It looks really good. Well framed.
Okay, everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
Thanks.
and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Scott.